Something would have taken up my mother like a possession almost, and she did have a drinking problem in those years, which they say the spotlight can make you shine, but few know it can also burn your soul. Joan Crawford, the Queen of Hollywood. The woman who once made America kneel before her perfect smile carried a secret no one dared to speak of for half a century. Behind the glamorous family portraits were the cries of children beaten in the dark. Behind the glowing headlines were adoption receipts hastily signed in the shadows of Tennessee. And behind that gleaming Oscar statuette was the blood of a revenge that nearly turned fatal. When her daughter, Christina Crawford, finally spoke, Hollywood froze. Her story wasn't just a memoir. It was the testimony of a child who survived a gold-inflated hell. So join me as we trace the cracks in that glittering light to uncover behind the golden statues and evening gowns who Joan Crawford really was. I used to think that if I behaved better, she would love me. But the harder I tried, the clearer it became. In that house, love was the rarest thing of all. That winter afternoon in Idaho, rain fell softly against the wooden roof. Inside the small house, Christina Crawford sat before an old tape recorder, her thin finger hovering over the red button. Her voice was hoarse and deliberate, as if afraid to awaken the sleeping memories I used to think. If I behaved, if I stayed quiet, if I smiled at the right time, she would love me. But no. In that house, love was the rarest thing of all. The sound echoed between the raindrops, opening a door to the years no one wanted to remember. People once called Joan Crawford's Brentwood Mansion the paradise of light and fame. Every corner of the house was photographed for magazines. The immaculate white living room, the grand curved staircase like a classic film set, and the image of a glamorous mother surrounded by 4 perfect children. But behind that photo was another world, cold, strict, and full of fear, where everything moved under the command of one person, Joan Crawford. Every morning, as soon as the first click of heels echoed down the hallway, Christina would jolt awake. She never needed an alarm clock. Her body had learned to wake before her mother's anger could. Joan entered the room in her white robe, a coffee cup in hand, the scent of Chanel No. 5 flooding the air. She never smiled. Her gaze examined her daughter, like inspecting a porcelain doll, imported from Paris, flawless, or nothing at all. "Who are you?" her voice, cold and dry. "I'm your daughter," Christina answered softly. "No," Joan said, setting her cup down. Each word cutting through the air like paper under a blade. "You are the daughter of Joan Crawford, and you will make that name worthy of respect." That was the daily ritual. Afterward, Christina had to stand in front of the mirror and brush her hair exactly 100 times, counting aloud without error. "Too fast, you lack grace. Too slow, you'll be late," Joan said, never looking up, her tone flat and rehearsed, like reading from a script. Christina didn't understand why even brushing her hair had to be perfect. But she obeyed because every mistake came with a price. Once, for forgetting to say, "Yes, Mother?" Joan yanked the blanket away, dragged Christina from bed, and forced her to kneel on the cold, wooden floor. "Don't ever make me repeat myself," she said, her eyes unblinking. Christina apologized through trembling lips, but it was never enough. Joan stood there in silence, watching as if teaching her daughter how to perform obedience more convincingly. At night, when the bourbon took over, Joan would emerge from the living room with a glass in hand, red lipstick gleaming, and a thin smile on her face. The housekeeper later said that was the most dangerous hour. One night, Joan opened the bathroom door, poured a full bottle of bourbon into a tub of cold water, and called Christina. "Get in," she ordered. "Mother, it's cold. Get in, wash yourself. Wash until you deserve to be my daughter." The girl stepped in the icy water, stabbed her skin, the stench of alcohol burned her nose. Christina bit her lip, holding back her breath. In the mirror, she saw her mother watching her silently, eyes empty of compassion. When she finally stepped out, her teeth chattering, she whispered, "Thank you, Mother." Because in that house, fear was mistaken for respect. At 8 years old, Christina gathered her courage to say, "I don't want to be an actress, Mother." Joan froze for a moment, then smiled, a short, twisted smile. She set down her drink, pulled a makeup scissor from the drawer, and walked toward her. "You don't need to act, Christina. You just need to be beautiful." A sharp snip echoed. A lock of hair fell to the carpet. Then another, and another. Joan cut it all clean, precise. "That's the hair of an ungrateful child," she said, and walked away, leaving the girl standing alone, surrounded by strands of hair, like a small funeral for her childhood. Christina didn't cry. She didn't dare. Tears only made her mother angrier. Instead, she looked into the mirror, her head, uneven eyes, swollen lips purple, and promised herself, "One day, I will leave this place." The old housekeeper, Mrs. Reynolds, later said Crawford had two faces. On camera, she was an angel. Off camera, she was fire. Christina had known that long before. Every time she saw her mother smile for the cameras, she felt only fear, because she knew when the door closed, that smile would turn into a blade. Once, Christina came down with a 102-degree fever. She trembled in bed, but Joan only placed a hand on her forehead and whispered, "You're too weak, Christina." The girl brightened, thinking her mother cared, but Joan continued, voice sharp as steel, "Illness is the choice of a failure. I don't raise failures." The next morning, though, still feverish, Christina was forced to wear her school uniform. At the gate, she collapsed. When the ambulance arrived, Joan leaned against the wall, lipstick perfect, and told reporters, "My daughter is strong. I raised her that way." After that year, Christina stopped hoping. She learned to read the language of high heels. 3 clicks safe, 2 quick steps, storm coming. 1 pause, don't breathe. "I was even afraid of silence," she said later. Because in that house, silence meant anger was about to explode. By 12, Christina was no longer a child. She was a child actress in a never-ending film called The Crawford Family. Every smile, every hug was scripted. Every photo, printed in a magazine, was a perfect scene. And when the lights went out, Joan would drain her glass eyes empty and say, "Tomorrow we'll do it again." Now in her 80s, Christina still remembers every sound, the